Hello. Okay, we're going to start out sitting today, but before you get down to the floor, we're going to be sitting with your legs crossed. If you do not love that position, grab a cushion before you sit down and put it under your hips, but not your legs. That might alleviate some tension in your hip flexors. If that's not an option for you either, do not worry. You could always sit with your knees like this or out straight, with or without the cushion. You're trying to achieve a position that lets you sit up on your sit bones without a bunch of strain. You should never feel like, a military person at attention. And I want to get rid of, or at least have minimal gripping in the front of your hips. It's my only mission in life. Welcome. All right, let me see what time it is so I can try to pretend to be on time. Let's tune into your breathing first. And as you're doing this, we'll kind of make sure the posture is organized. You want to begin with your pelvis position, so you're on your sit bones. So that's your vertical neutral. And as best you can, line up your rib cage and your head above your pelvis. If you can achieve the alignment of those three landmarks, chances are you've got a good, appropriate curve through your low back and your neck as well. Now let's feel the breathing to create a baseline. So I'll have you inhale through your nose and sense where the air goes in your body as you draw it in. Then exhale through your mouth, and you're going to make a little O like you're blowing out a candle. When you breathe in, visualize the air going deep into your lungs so you feel a big expansion through your rib cage. And when you exhale, as you blow out through the mouth, sense if you can feel your abdominals drawing in or a lift of your pelvic floor. As you breathe in, sense that full body expansion. So your pelvic floor will actually drop a little bit. The abdominals expand so the organs have room to move. And when you exhale, all those muscles help to gather together so the diaphragm can lift to press the air out. Now you're going to take one more breath in, and I want you to imagine you're growing tall. So sit bones heavy, crown of the head reaching up to the ceiling. And now when you exhale, drop your chin and start to curl your upper body forward towards your legs. Check in on those sit bones again. Make sure you are still on them and your body's coming forward rather than rocking back. Now when you breathe in through your nose, sense the back of your rib cage and feel the lowest 6 ribs expanding away from the spine. So we know the back of the diaphragm is getting to move too. And hold here for an exhale. As you blow the air out, compress the deep abdominals to support this flexed position. When you breathe in, feel the expansion, the ribs opening out to the back and the sides. And then stay for one more exhale. And I want you to blow out any tension you feel in your neck and your shoulders. Do one more breath in to stay at the bottom. And then when you exhale, sense the sit bones again. You're going to root them down into the floor and start to stack up your spine, leveling out the rib cage, opening the chest, and lifting the chin. Let's bring your hands onto your shoulders. I'm going to just tweak my little microphone there. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days you're just going to hear me heavy breathing the whole time. Okay, so we're going to make some elbow circles. I don't know if you can tell because my hands are blocking, but I'm moving my shoulders too. Let's take it the other way. This is just an effort to get all the crickety-crackities out of the shoulder blades. Cammy's playing volleyball right now, ignoring any of my advice about Pilates, but just keeps complaining about how much her shoulders and shoulder blades are cracking from the abuse she gives them. Okay, so that's for her. She will never see this. And now I want you to do an alternating version of that motion. And so as you create it, you'll kind of feel like you're the kayak oar and you're paddling. Let a little rotation happen. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just something that would give you a bigger stride or ability to push through the water. Let's go the other way. And right into that rotation if that's supportive for you. Otherwise, leave it out and just do the isolation of the arms. Oh, keep breathing. All right, one more on each side. All right, now bring the hands up behind the head. When you breathe in this time, I want you to go into a side bend, reaching your top arm overhead. So we're going to get a nice stretch up this side of the body. And when you exhale, come back up to the center. And then inhale, reaching over to the other side. Now, if you want to get the best, most even, excellent stretch, I want you to start at the sit bone. root down the sit bone that you're stretching away from so you can really feel the connectivity of how your connective tissue, your fascia, links all the muscles that we're trying to stretch. And so if I give an anchor point away from the movement, you should be able to get a pull through your waist and your shoulder. Not a ton through the side of the neck probably, but maybe a little. One more time. And then up, and then over, and lift. All right, hands back down. I'm going to lean back. I was trying to decide which way to face. Sorry. Okay, we're going this way. Now, I'm going to have you work on an incline, leaning into your forearms. I want the shoulder girdle to stay very involved to give you stability. So make sure you're not sinking with the arms kind of propped up. You're going to push away from the floor with your forearms like you've been doing with your sit bones. But speaking of them, you should be rocked back of your sit bones where you're actually supported on the space between your sacrum and the sit bones, that little void. We're going to go into a hip release next. Gaze should be right at your knees. One leg's moving at a time. When you breathe in, allow your knee to fall out to the side. Glide your foot down the mat to straighten your leg. Exhale to rotate it in and pull back up. Now, depending on the range of motion available to you, when you turn in, try to go past parallel so your leg is medially rotated as you put it back. Put it back, pull it back. We're going to do one more time like that, dropping out and sliding away and turning in and coming back up. Now, same leg but reverse direction. So now that you know the movement, you're inhaling as you're going out, you're exhaling as you're coming back. Let me tell you what to focus on. I want you to make sure you're compressing your abs, connecting with your core to resist changing the shape of your torso as the weight of the leg gets heavier, sliding away, and as you're engaging force to pull back in. And we want to let the hip flexors release as the leg gets straight, and then turn out, pull it back in. Let's go to your other leg. So back to the first direction. Inhale, drop your knee out to the side as you glide it down the mat. Exhale to rotate it in and pull back up. Inhale as you reach away, still focusing the air into your back. Exhale, compressing your abs to pull back in. Check in on those shoulders. Press away with the forearms just a little bit more. Pull those abs in. Find your support again. One more time. And then rotate in. Let's reverse the direction. So in addition to releasing the hip flexors when you do this motion, we are actually strengthening the deep muscles in your hips that rotate your leg. For those of you that have been struggling with things like the mermaid position or those little 90-90 hip twists, sometimes I'll show on Instagram, sometimes doing this little motion and getting a really good control deep in the joint will be more helpful. That was your last one, and relax. More helpful to creating lasting change that will let you, if you don't know what I mean, these kind of things, that will let you build up to that. Even though you're feeling strain here, we need to start developing the strength deep in the joint with the muscles that control how the ball moves in the socket. Sounds like I'm lecturing again. Let's say, okay, we're over this. Come on to all fours. Okay, for our cat stretch today, we're going to do kind of a funky spunky version. And I'm going to do it slightly angled away from you. So if you set up your normal quadruped first, let's just get some relationships here. I'm going to pose one hand on top of the other. Okay, so I'm already in a little bit of tilt or a side bend. And then for reference points, so like you're going to sit back a little bit towards the opposite heel. So I'm just continuing that diagonal, but going into more hip flexion. Okay, now bring your gaze back towards the hands so your head's in alignment with the rest of your torso. I want you to try a cat stretch by tucking your tail under, rounding your spine as you shift your body weight forward out over your hands. And then you're going to extend your spine, make sure you're lifting your chest rather than sagging, and push yourself back towards your heel. You're going to exhale, round the spine so you get that undulation through flexion and extension as you're pushing yourself back on the inhale. Exhale, scoop the abs in to help flex. Really tuck your tail. Now stick out the tail, lift your heart and chin as you come back. One more time, exhale, rounding your spine, shifting forward. Inhale as you shift back. Now when you get back this time, I want you to go all the way back as far as you can towards your heel. You probably won't be like on it, just in its direction. And then when you get there, just do a small twist side to side that you're driving from the shoulders and the neck. What I'm trying to create on this exercise, We talk a lot about pandiculation, the sort of like self-led stretch that's very full body and useful for resetting your nervous system. Sometimes people feel too inhibited to just trust themselves to do whatever they want. So I'm taking you through some unfamiliar planes of motion with a familiar movement pattern to see if you can get like some nooks and crannies we miss in a regular cat stretch. So I've switched to the other hand on top of the hand, but like make sure you're squared off and then go so we don't go past our limits of safety. And you're going to sit back towards the other heel. All right, so from there, I'm going to take an exhale, tuck the tail under, flex the spine, shift towards the hands. Inhale, extend the spine, push back towards that opposite heel. Exhale, tuck, scoop the abs up. Make sure you're connecting with your breath. Inhale, return. There is never an exercise. I don't want you to reinforce that. Exhale, rounding, shifting forward. Inhale, extend back towards that side. 2 more times. Let the head drop so you see your knee. Then lift your head so you see the wall in front of you. 1 more time, rounding. Use your arms to push away from the floor, especially in this transition here, and push yourself back. All right, sit back as far as you can. So I'm anchored down towards that opposite heel, and then I'm just going to, again, add that small rotation driven from dropping one armpit. Oh, I love to say armpit. One armpit, then the other. 1 more to each side. Have I ever told you the story about how my best friend from high school hates the word armpit and like used to beg me to say underarms all the time? And it's like I dig it when we're talking about deodorant and everything, but it just is not underarms. It's not a good exercise word, I don't think. Okay. Oh, where am I going? Where am I going? We're kneeling. We're not done. I can't tell any more stories today. I promise. All right. On your hands and knees. Now let's get a little more classic. I want you to stay squared off with your weight evenly distributed left and right, and we're going to start a swim. When you exhale, extend one leg back. Try to keep it parallel and lift it to hip height as you reach your opposite arm forward towards the other wall, and then lower back down. And switch sides every time. Okay, so for the core work, you're trying to stay squared off at the hips and the shoulders, imagining your back flat like a table, even though your back is not really flat. But the idea that you're balancing a bunch of cups of water or something on your back is a real good motivator to prevent rotation through your trunk. Exhale as you reach out, drawing the abs in as the limbs reach away. Inhale, lower, and exhale out. Okay, now on the next rep, I want you to pose it and just pause. We're going to stay with this arm and leg combination. And then I want you to round your spine, flexing like a cat again, and draw your elbow and knee towards each other. And then inhale, reach them away, and you can slightly extend. That should feel natural. Just be careful how big you make it. But I feel like reaching out the limbs, as long as you go for the walls and not the floor ceiling, will help you create a limited extension. 2 more times. Exhale, draw the abs up, really tuck the tail. Inhale, reach away. 1 more time, rounding. Reaching away. Put the limbs back down. Go back to just the classic organized, reaching out on the exhale, inhale back in, and we're alternating again. Exhale away. Inhale, return. Exhale out. Start the breath right before the movement. And exhale away. Inhale, return. We're going to do 1 more on each side of the normal ones. And if we've done this right, I hope we've done this right, let's go to the other side and let's try 5 of these. So bending, knee into elbow as you round your spine. Reach away towards the wall, lift your gaze. We want to look down at the knee so we don't whack it real hard. And then inhale, reach away. When you transition and start to reach out, push away from the floor more with the support arm. 2 more. And reach away. 1 more time, exhale. And inhale, reach back out. All right, into tall kneeling. I always crack up, like, when do you sweat in Pilates? It's when I'm breathing on myself like that. Like that wasn't necessarily so hard, but I feel like my hot breath all over myself. Okay, tall kneeling. This is the hug of the moon shape, if you're not familiar with it. I'm going to have you start centered, When you breathe in, you're going to open your arms and lift your chest like you're looking up to the moon. When you exhale, you're going to rotate, just our classic spine twist, as you bring your hands overhead. When you come to center, you're going to lift your heart. Now alternate sides. Exhale. Inhale, lift the chest. And exhale, feel your ribs slide down with your breath as you twist. Now, I'm going to take my arms out for a second. You keep doing it. But we're going to get open when I look up, and the force of the breath closes and pulls me to neutral. So the extension comes from lifting the chest. The neutral comes from the ribs going together and down. Inhale up. Exhale, make sure you see forward, ceiling, wall. Keep pushing your hips forward as you go into the twist. One more time, inhale hard up, and exhale, connect. Good. Just shake out your arms a little bit. All right, we're going to go down onto your back and into the ab prep. All right. Knees bent, feet flat, and hands behind your head. All right, 2 breaths. Let's keep it simple, but still working with the force of that exhale and inhale, just like the last exercise. Breathe in to prepare. When you exhale, start to tip your chin down as you curl your head and shoulders off till you're at the bottom tip of your shoulder blade. And then inhale to come down. Try to stare at your knees as long as you can until it's time to drop that head. Exhale, nod the chin, curl forward. Slide your shoulder blades down slightly, and inhale to lower back down. Keep going. So as we ab prep, the hands being behind your head does create a little support for your neck, but you should never feel like you're pushing your head forward. Your head's coming up from its own strike, so I could take my hands away and still create the same position. But when I add my hands behind my head, the weight of my arms becomes part of the load I'm lifting up. Let's do 3 more times. So sometimes we'll do this with your arms by your sides. That's actually meant to make this easier on your abs. And you'll see lots of different variations, but that's why we alternate between those two. Let's do 1 more like that, and then lower back down. All right, now a set with obliques. Now as you curl up, one elbow angles down towards the floor, other towards the ceiling, and inhale back down. And imagine alternating sides. You're pivoting on the little bottom tip of your shoulder blade. So one shoulder blade comes all the way off while we use the other to angle from. Exhale up. Inhale down. Let's go for 4. Check in on your pelvis. Ideally, we're doing this whole exercise without taking your pelvis out of neutral. So your pubic bone is a good access point. Try to keep it heavy. We're going to do 1 more to each side so I can try to speak clearly. If you push your pubic bone down slightly, it'll help you keep the natural curve in your back. Over and return. Okay, let's go back to flexing through the center, but add a march. When you exhale, nod your chin, lift one leg to tabletop. Inhale to lower. Let's keep the conversation on the pubic bone. I still would like you to tip it down that way slightly to resist imprinting. Now, the force of lifting your legs is another force that could rock that pelvis back, so you got a lot to think about now. All right, we're going to keep doing this march, 1 more on each side this way, and without a pause, after this next march, we're going to add rotation again with your upper body. So you're turning towards the lifting leg and laying your head down. Exhale, rotate, and inhale, return. Exhale, twist, and drop, and up. Let's go for 4 more times. And 3. Remember, blow that air out through the mouth, get that compression. And 1 more time. And down. All right. Straighten your legs out. We're going to go into the roll-up next. Legs can be together or slightly separated, whichever is more comfortable. And if your low back feels real tense, you might enjoy this better if your knees are bent a little bit. Reach your arms up to the ceiling, and once again, bring your attention into the back of your ribs. Before we start anything, just take a full breath cycle. Make sure you can feel the ribs expanding into the mat when you breathe in, just like we practiced in the beginning. And when you exhale, feel the force of your breath connecting your abs so you feel a link between your ribs and your hips. Okay, so you still have that good alignment. Now take one more breath in. And as you practice the exhale again, reach your arms overhead about halfway towards the floor. As the weight of the arms get heavier, you should feel like you have to create a little more force to hold those ribs down. Here we go. Inhale, arms up above your chest. Exhale, nod your chin, roll up, flexing the lower spine as you're lifting. You're going to reach forward towards your legs, but try to keep your arms parallel to the floor so they'll be higher than your toes. Inhale, start to roll back your hips, tuck your tail under and exaggerate tucking up your pubic bone. Exhale, unravel to flat, reach your arms overhead. Breathe in as your arms come up. When you start to curl up, you're just repeating the ab prep we just did. Then imprint and deepen the flexion so the spine's in a C shape as it curls forward towards the legs. If you're not sure that you're rolling down properly, you will know you're using your glutes because your body's going to want to slide back just a little bit. That's actually a good thing. And then reach your arms overhead. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod your chin, curl forward, reach towards your legs. If you have trouble getting to your sit bones, you could just bend your knees there at the top. They don't have to be like that the whole time. And then unravel and reach back. We're going to do one more that way. And then exhale, curl forward. And then inhale, roll back. But we are not done. All right, we're going to add a side bend at the top. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod your chin, curl forward, take that full stretch. Now, you're going to turn to the side, bend both knees into a double mermaid, and we're going to go up and over into a side bend. And come back down. Now we're just going to pivot. So we're going to swing the legs around, other side, back to the center, forward again, and roll back down. Bet you didn't see that coming. Reach your arms overhead. And again. I thought this might be fun. A little different choreography. And also we get some side bends in without having to be on your arm too long. So if you're just building up your strength of your wrist, you just get one rep. Flip your legs around. Then the other side. We're going to come back to the center. Not to mention, like I was saying about getting those hips rotating in and out, it's going to help us keep working on improving that mermaid position. One more time. Arms up. Curl forward. Reach towards your legs. Now we're going to swing around. Flip those legs. Oops, I'm falling off my mat. When I practice these, it's always in the living room with no mat, of course. And therefore, I don't realize my slippage or how much space I'm taking up until it's too late. Forward, and then roll back down. All right, now I need you to come up again. Sorry to make you do 700 roll-ups today. But anyway, we're going to roll up one last time. Take that stretch. And here we are. Okay, I want you to go back down onto your forearms like we did earlier in class for a different exercise. Okay, this is called the hip twist. Before we go any further, push yourself away from the floor. This is also a modification on the hip twist because I got to be honest, I hate it. So we're just going to do the baby step one. You're going to take one leg up at a time. Is that a great lead-in? One leg up at a time into tabletop position. Now, I want you to visualize you put crayons or pens or whatever on the tips of your knees reaching up to the ceiling, and we are going to draw a circle or a horseshoe up there with your legs. So first you're going to drop your legs a little bit off to the side. I want you to use an exhale breath as you're circling your legs away from you to draw the bottom loop of the horseshoe, and an inhale as you come back around to the top. Now you're going to go the other direction. Exhale for as much of this as you can to help you pull in those abs. Inhale back up. The reason I don't love it is because if you go too big, it's going to actually pull you out of position with your upper body. So you really need to remember why you're doing this. It's not a leg exercise as the primary focus. It's an ab exercise, and your legs are just the weight challenging your ability to stay still. And sometimes clients can lose focus of that. Keep looking forward towards your legs as you trace that circle. And around and up. And even though this feels like a lot more load than the hip release we did as a warm-up, we are still encouraging the same thing at the hip flexors. They're working as they're getting longer, so you're going to feel something going on there. We just don't want that real intense gripping sensation. One more to each side. Yeah, I can't keep you. I got to focus. Good. Press up one more time with your forearms. You're almost there. To the side, reaching away. And then around and up. Okay. Let's do the opposite action for a little while there at the hips to change our focus. All right, so you're going to flip over onto your stomach, prop yourself up on your forearms. I know it's not a great angle to see this, but I have my elbows right under the shoulders and my forearms are parallel. You can go open palm or fist, whatever you prefer. Once again, prop yourself up away from the floor. Now, legs are parallel, either together or very slightly separated. This is called hamstring curls. You're going to bend one knee 2 times, first pointing your foot, then flexing your foot, and then inhale to lay it back down, and we'll alternate. You're going to exhale to point and to flex, inhale, return. So you can use kind of a puff breath. Okay, so I go pulse, pulse, long, smooth inhale. Exhale, 1, 2, inhale, back down. Every time you start a new rep, push away from with the forearms more. Point and flex, inhale, release. Keep going. Feel into what's happening through your torso. I want you to make sure your pubic bone is pressed down into the mat, but you're tilting your pelvis backwards slightly, pulling the hip bones away from the floor. Even though this is called hamstring curls, you will feel your glutes. Really important here to stabilize your pelvis. One more on each side. Point, flex, inhale away, and point, flex, inhale away. Now, we're going to stay on the forearms, but I want you to cross them, turn them in so they cross each other. Yeah, that makes sense? Okay, and there, you're just going to push yourself up the natural amount so you're propped. I want you to take your legs, turn them out, and open them to about shoulder width. Now, this will open up your chest and the front of your hips. You're going to take one leg and the opposite arm. As you bend the knee, you're going to turn your upper body and try to reach towards the toe. If you cannot touch, it's okay, but that effort of reaching back is where we open the chest and then come back to the middle. And I'm just going to switch arms every time. As you're turning, you want to look over the shoulder so the neck and head follow the natural twist of the spine. You real precision people, I hope you're already realizing this. I have no rhyme or reason to which arm I'm putting in front of the other. I'm trying to sense my way through that just based on not falling down. So like sometimes I'm switching which one's in front, sometimes I'm not. Sorry. This is such a good exercise in the movement, but I didn't have some magic thing to do with those forearms. Let's do one more to each side. Rotate, reach back, tap those toes. And last time, twisting, and then back down. All right, I want you to go all the way down onto your stomach, all the way down to your flat. Legs parallel again. Your choice, together, slightly separated. We got to get a breaststroke in. I want you to begin in a hovering position so your upper body's just off the mat. Sense again before you start. And I want you to feel the lower ribs as they're touching the mat. When we lift up into extension, aim to keep your lowest 1 or 2 ribs on the mat to make sure we don't overuse the low back in this move. When you exhale, extend your arms overhead so you're in your superhero flying position. When you inhale, circle the arms to your hips as you lift your head and chest to that higher extension. Now bend your elbows, reach the arms through, dive down to hover. Inhale, circle the arms, open the collarbones and lift. Exhale, pull those abs in, dive it down. And inhale, circle, get that big expansion. Exhale, take it low. And inhale, circle, lift the heart. Let's do 4 more. Dive down, make a nice tight line at the bottom. Inhale, imagine you're lifting out of the water to breathe, and then dive through it. And inhale, back up. Last 2. Exhale, take it low. Inhale, circle, lift. One more time, dive down. And circle, rise up. All right, let yourself down. Push yourself back in a shell stretch. Round your spine. All right, here, nice big breath in. Try to encourage more of that expansion through the back of your body. That'll help you release the back muscles you just used. Stay here for an exhale. Compress your abs and just sink your shoulders a little more. Let's stretch those lats. One more breath in to stay at the bottom. And then take an exhale. Tuck your tail under. Roll back up to vertical. Let's finish standing today. Okay. Trying to figure out what angle I want to do. All right, we're going to do a lunge. I think, yeah, if I go this way. Oh, I did so good you not having to see my limp. That was just a limpy jerk. Sorry. All right, you're going to make a staggered stance. And just test, do a couple lunges, the kind where both knees bend, so you can focus on staying vertical over that back knee. You're going to reach your arms forward at chest height, and we're just going to start with 5 real executions of that lunge you're practicing. So just down and up. I'm not going to give you breathing rhythm anymore, but please do make sure you're still breathing. Based on your pace of the lunge, I don't want you to force it to be at the pace of your breath anymore. Now, next time you go down, you're going to stay there. And I want you to hold the lunge, and you're just going to do a little shimmy of your shoulders. Alternate protracting one as you retract the other. One more time. All right, now, front knee, elbow. You're going to bend it as you push the other one forward in that protraction. Reach your arm to the back and circle it to the front. And again, so that little extra protraction of the front arm is really important to give you a good rotation through the ribs. And around to the front. 2 more times. Bend, reach back, circle around, bend, reach back, circle around. Come on up. Arms up by your ears or a little forward of the ears if you're really tight through your chest or ribs. And now back to lunging 5 times. Down and up. Okay, and the arms reaching up just makes it like you're taller, but we're still executing the leg motion the same way. Go down to stay. Once you're in it, alternate shrugging one shoulder, then the other. Okay, and your ribs will just shimmy a little bit. You'll notice maybe your hips are going to swing just a little bit. All right, this time, if you're still doing like kind of a bow and arrow, we're shooting up at the ceiling. You're going to reach one arm up. You're going to side bend, bending the elbow, reaching down to the floor, and then exhale, circle around back up. Inhale, bend the elbow. Try to let your head tip towards the moving arm. Reaching that other arm up is really important so we don't fall towards the moving arm. 2 more times. And drop. Exhale, lift. Last one. Bend, reach down. Exhale, pull up. Rise back up. Whew. Love those. Haven't done those in a long time. Oh, man, my faves. Okay. Testers. I'm going to get the best out of this. Arms forward at chest height. Get your alignments. And then just start going down and up. Emphasize that back knee bending. Work to keep that back heel off the ground. Stay down on this one. And then start that small shimmy, protracting and retracting. Ribs might make a minimal twist, but keep your gaze looking forward. All right, let's try that rotation. So you're going to bend your elbows, the other arm reaches forward, turn and look back at your hand, circle to the front. And again, if you do want me to give you breathing rhythm, I didn't. I know. Inhale, exhale. 2 more times. Exhale, circle. 1 more. Circle, rise back up. All right, arms up by your ears. Up and down again. That back foot, so important. This is a great way to strengthen the back foot. If you've been working on that for a foot or ankle injury, stay down on this one. All right. Then, when you know you're stable, start that little alternating elevation of one shoulder at a time. Giving the ribs a little play as needed. Okay, here we go. Side bending now. So I'm going to reach the straight arm up to the ceiling. I'm bending towards the front knee side, lowering the arm. Exhale to come back up. Inhale, allowing the head to tilt with you. Exhale, lift. Breathe in. And then back up. 2 more times. And lift. Last time. We made it. Back up. All right, feet parallel. I'm going to side face you. We're just going to do a couple roll downs. Drop your chin. Start to flex forward. Put a generous bend in your knees. We're going to do a real big melty melt. Knuckles to the ground if you can. And roll back up. I want you to feel your curling forward like a letting go. So we want to stretch the low back, kind of like you feel in a cat stretch. But then when you rise up, root down into your heels, and I want you to feel light and buoyant. Remember at the beginning I said I want you like a military person at attention. I want you to feel balanced, supported by all of your connective tissue, so there's no strain anywhere. We're using 3-dimensional support to stack up all the major landmarks of the body. One more time, flexing. Pretend you're holding big, heavy weights in your hand. Leave them on the ground, and then helium balloons are pulling you back up. Refreshing. All right, you're done for today. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you soon.